It was 1990, and I was 20 years old. I had dyed black hair, fishnet stockings, combat boots, and I was a punk girl. And I had recently lost my mom. And I was just trying to find my way in the world. And I was comforted by, of course, my punk music. And of all things, I was comforted by PBS. I would watch PBS and just love the cooking shows. And I would watch all the documentaries. But my favorite was Rick Steves' Europe. Rick Steves is a travel guide, and there was just something about Rick. His calm and steady voice just calmed me. I would go on journeys with him every time he would come on. And my favorite country that he would visit was Ireland. And through the screen, I would go on these journeys of these rolling green hills. I would think about how the air might smell like peat. And I would think about all of the sheep running on the countryside. But that wasn't for me. I didn't think that I would be able to ever travel and be able to experience that. But I promised myself that I would one day go to Ireland. Well, as life does happen, my life shaped me and it surprised me many a times. And I met a man when I was in my late 40s, and I married him. He's a wonderful man. And he wanted to make my dreams of Ireland come true. So, with a copy of Rick Steves' Europe book in hand, he single-handed created the journey. 2 years later, we boarded a plane. And I remember as the plane descended into Ireland, I could see the green fields. It looked like a green quilt. And I could see the stone walls and the dotted landscape with all of the sheep. It was absolutely beautiful. It was more beautiful than anything I have ever dreamt of, and I have been dreaming about it for over 20 years of how beautiful it would be. So we get off the plane, and we started our journey through Ireland. We were in Dublin, where I got to see the Book of Kells, one of the oldest books in the world. And then we went to Cork, where I stayed in the smallest hotel room, I think, in the world. We made our way to County Kerry, to Kenmare, where we stayed in the glamping pod. And then we go over to Dingle, where I had fresh oysters to eat, along with a Guinness and a shot of Jameson, and listen to the music in the pub. And then there's this big sign that says baby lamb. You can hold a baby lamb. So I held this baby lamb that was so new to this world that I could feel its little dried up umbilical cord scratching against my skin. That's how new that little thing was. And every stop that we went, it was just so beautiful. And then we went to Galway, where my husband surprised me with a Claddagh ring, and it was made from the original mold. And we made our way to Trim Castle. And Trim Castle is known for Braveheart. That's where Braveheart was filmed. And so every twist and turn of this trip was absolutely incredible. It was more than anything that I could imagine. And it all came from sitting on a couch, all my imagery of Ireland, and it was better than anything I could have dreamt of. Well, our trip was coming to an end, so we get on the plane, and I could see Ireland from a distance, and the green was going away, and the sheep were getting smaller and smaller. But I was truly blessed to have been there, and they do say that you leave your heart in places, and I certainly did leave my heart in Ireland. So on our way home, well, as we got home, I was greeted with a pile of mail. So I'm going through the mail, and there was this flyer from Cincinnati Pops. We're huge Cincinnati pop fans, orchestra. And of all things, it said that Rick Steves would be narrating the orchestra. So 5 months later, my husband and I are in the grand hall of the Cincinnati Museum, or the Cincinnati Music Hall. We're listening to Rick Steves narrate this beautiful music. And then after it was over, Rick Steves goes out into the rotunda where we had the opportunity to meet with him. And I finally got to him, and I just simply said, Rick, I want to thank you for making my dream come true of visiting Ireland. And he gave me this big hug and said, oh, and it was like the cherry on top of this whole experience. But if I could share something with that 20-year-old punk girl that just recently lost her mom, I would say, man, keep dreaming. You will never know how beautiful life is going to be and how it's going to unroll into just magical moments. Thank you.